Welcome to the 98% podcast, where we hear real stories from real people. And I'm here with Max, and we're doing a special episode called Welcome to the Hot Seat, where we bring back a returning guest and we give each other 4 questions and put each other on the spot, and we answer these hopefully thought-provoking questions. So, Max, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So Max Strutman, I'm out of St. Louis. I've known Ricky for a while now. We met through some mutual friends. We've had a few I've had a trip together and done some other things together. It's been a good time. And then I guess professional life, big into the data world. So, yeah, data is kind of my forte, AI space type stuff, but not quite getting there. Yeah, I guess that's a very, very, very brief high level. Super into running. It's probably one of my favorite things, and yeah, enjoy getting out as well, as our trip that we went on indicated as well. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, sweet. So 2 things real quick. First of all, I thought you said dating world, and took a second. Data world, got it.
Yeah.
And then
much different, right? And probably a much different perception too.
I know. But when he first said it, I was like, hold on a second, hold on. And then he said it again. I was like, okay, data, got it.
Yeah.
But dude, we're getting that point. We need to plan our next trip. I was thinking about that last week, actually.
Yeah, we're actually so I guess I should mention, if you want to, officially, we're thinking about going to I guess Idaho, about like early summer. If you want to come, we're going to do Grand Tetons and then maybe Yellowstone as well, because they're right by each other. My sister is on a project up there, and so we're gonna go up and visit for a while. If you want to come with, it's just gonna be a kind of a hangout, do a bunch of hiking up in those 2 parks.
Dude, thanks for the invite. Let's chat about that offline. I'm stoked about that. That sounds fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
sweet. Okay. So for the audience here, so if this is your first time tuning in, so like I said, this is a hot seat episode. So if you want to watch Max's real introduction, where he gets to share all the details about himself, you can tune into that episode, and I'll have it at the very end.
It's boring. You don't want to listen to it.
You can click on. I mean, I thought it was good.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, so here I'll kick us off with our first question. So I like to do mine around themes. So the first themed question is around travel, because I know you like to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So first question is there a place you've been that didn't just change how you see the world, but how you see yourself in it?
I guess every time you travel, it does that a little bit. So it's hard to pick one, because it's just like it gives you a little bit more perspective on life across the world. That is a very well structured question, because it is very thought provoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can't pick one specifically, because each one gives me like a little bit more perspective about how people live throughout the world. So I guess it's like each one does a little bit. It's not like one in particular that stands out as more than the others. Some of that may be because a lot of places are a lot of what I expected for the most part, both good and bad. So maybe that's why. So that's what I'm sticking with. That's my best answer, because that's what immediately came to my mind. So I got to roll with it.
Okay. What if we went a little deeper? What if we went specific? What about the Zion trip specifically? How did that kind of shift the way you see the world, or did it even?
The Zion trip. Okay. Now that we're more pointed, I can actually point to what it shaped for me. So
okay, yeah.
Because obviously I talked about this a lot when we went on the trip, right? I had been, I guess before maybe it got as popular as it was, and then I went now. So we went in 2025, and the first time I went was 2017 or 2018 or something like that. It was just the amount of people there was just much less than what it was, and we saw graphs of this all throughout it, right? Where it's like, oh, the last, especially COVID years, it just started to skyrocket in terms of like the amount of people visiting the park. So it's interesting to see that like the way the park has evolved to basically accommodate all of the like how much more people is there. Like the infrastructure needed to support all that people, especially a lot of people who aren't as familiar or maybe not as experienced hikers or people who do stuff like that. So like you can call it commercialized, you can call it whatever you productionalize, whatever you want to call it. But they've just taken a lot of steps to basically make things easier, but also protect a lot of the nature. Whereas like if you went back 8 years ago, um, it was like you could drive straight up to trailheads, basically type of thing. And now just a lot of the stuff is restricted, and it's interesting to see how you can view that in very different ways, right? Like it's neither good nor bad because you're like, well, that kind of sucks that you can't have that like direct access into it. But it's also like with the amount of people that presses, you kind of have to protect it as well. So it's a very unique balance, and I think that's I think that's the cool part about our park system just in general, and about our relationship with nature as a whole, is because it is this very unique balance of like balancing being in it and being exposed to it and being around it while also not destroying it because like we've done a lot of that, right? And so it's like those true nature spots are just harder and harder to come by because of how much like urbanization or just how many people we have in the world now. So I think that's probably the the cool thing to see, right? Like I saw it both ways. I saw it, and I'm sure, if you go back even further, people were like, oh, we would just, go to wherever they wanted type of thing. So it's all relative, of course. So I would say that was for the Zion trip specifically.
I like that. That makes me think a lot about like I like the fact that we had to get a pass in order to go to Angel's Landing, the top, even though we didn't use the pass.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
like that wasn't a thing when I did it originally.
no.
You would just walk up there basically. There was no pass system. That was a later integration. Once again, a bunch more people. You have to have some way of regulating it, especially because like it wasn't a big deal for right when we did it, right? But if you're not as experienced or not as physically fit or any number of things, that objectively it's somewhat treacherous or somewhat like a
Mhm.
little a little a little a little on the shaky side type of thing. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
I know. It's funny because I thought I didn't like that, and then after we went up and we came back, I remember that picture that showed how many people were holding on to that chain in like the image on like the whatever they're doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, that would have been the worst to go
Yeah.
up that and be having to wait for everybody. And I was like, it was nice that we got to just go up there, and yeah, that
Yeah.
was cool.
It's like it's a cool experience when there's maybe 20 or 50 or whatever, but when it's like
Uh-huh.
just this pile of people, it would all of a sudden just become like it would be terrible.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Exactly.
very very
Okay.
cool.
Okay. So what's your first question for me, Max?
Yes. Okay, so I broke. I kind of have like I got three-parter here, so you can keep them brief or whatever. But I just wanted
Okay.
to touch on a few different things because
Okay.
um I wanted to talk about inspiration a little bit for it
Okay.
because there's a few areas of your life that have always interested me that I've never really gotten like a deeper explanation of or a deeper talk about with you. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm kind of using this as a springboard to do that. So the
Uh-huh.
first one, so I'll just tell you all three because some of them may be very like closely in terms of what kind of inspires you and all. So I'll tell you all
Uh-huh.
three and you can answer how you see fit. So
Okay.
I'm looking for your inspirations or your approaches or anything like that around three different topics. Music, because I believe you were in a band at a point in time
Uh-huh.
and things along those lines, and you're very instrumentally inclined.
Uh-huh.
Just life in general, and then how you think about like work and your relationship with it. So your inspiration around those things, and they can all tie together however you see
Okay.
fit.
Okay. So my inspiration. Let's see. So let's start with music first. Which music we've been practicing, so we're going to start performing again, which I'm stoked about. So because that was something that kind of went on the back burner for a little bit, but I never stopped playing or practicing. So I'd say the inspiration I think came from. Say there's a few different ways. So let's start at the beginning. What first pops in my head? First thing I wanted to be when I was a kid was an actor. Second thing I wanted to be when I was a kid was a musician. So I'd say that was probably some of it, as being a kid and thinking, I think I just had this part of me that just wanted to be on stage or perform, or I don't know, just something. So, so music, and obviously I didn't know how to play anything. So it started off with singing first. So I taught myself how to sing. And I actually taught myself how to scream. I was a kid in 7th grade that knew how to death metal scream, which is awesome. Um, but that's only because that was the genre of music I liked. Like, I first stumbled across metal music when I was in 6th grade. And at the time I was listening to everything everybody else was listening to. So think Backstreet Boys, any of that pop music around the time, like that's what I was listening to. And then I remember a buddy saying, "Hey, check this out." And I remember hearing Mudvayne for the first time and just thinking, like, this song is thick. Like, like, what is this? And he's like, "Oh, it's Mudvayne. It's their new album that just came out." I'm like, "Oh, snap." So it's like that. And then Linkin Park, the Hybrid Theory came out around that time, and just a bunch of that music. And I just remember being like, this is awesome. Like, this is just the energy like I've been looking for and stuff. So, so it started off with that. And then I wanted to make songs just like those. Like, 'cause I like the way those were. I want to teach myself how to make songs. So that means I needed to learn an instrument. So I started teaching myself how to do guitar first. Had no knowledge, didn't take lessons, just grabbed the guitar and was just messing with it and seeing what I thought sounded good. This in the first year I had the guitar, I didn't even know you had to tune it. So nothing sounded good, but I had no idea what was going on. But once I got it laced up with strings and I picked up little things like just from people that played, like, "Oh, you got to tune it." Like, "Oh, you do? Oh, okay. How do you tune it?" And then tuning it. So that was a start. And then learned about drop tuning, which was like a game changer, especially for heavier music. And so it kind of started there, and I just started writing music. And then bass was an easy transition because it's very similar, especially for that type of music. And then drums was the thing I learned after that. And that was like wanting to figure out how to make everything together so then I could write songs and think about it holistically rather than think about it like, here's a song and I'm just thinking about the words, or here's a song, I'm just thinking about the guitar. It's like, how do I think about it all as a group? So that's kind of why. And I like the creativity of bringing something that doesn't exist into existence. So when I think about that from a music standpoint, it's fun just to think like, hey, like all these songs I've written didn't exist before I put them out there, and that's kind of cool to think about. Um, so I'd say the inspiration is just because music has meant a lot to me. I like the way it gives me energy, or these days because it's shifted, I like the way it makes me feel. Um, I think I always liked the way it made me feel prior, but I think it was more subconscious. I don't think I was really aware of my feelings when I was younger, but it was a really good tool to kind of process things, and I didn't even know it at the time. But yeah, so I'd say that was the music bit, was just like learning it, and then I still love music, so I listen to it all the time, so it still keeps me playing stuff and yeah, just trying to create. Which I think probably ties into, I'd say we talked about work and life are the other ones. Um, which life in general, same thing. Like, I think my main factors for just living is just I like to create things. I like to create, and I like to connect and inspire other people. So that means, which also ties to work. So work is, I do learning and development at my current job, but I did that with Nike too. And I think that was kind of, I think it's similar to performing. So it kind of scratches that itch a little bit because, you have to train somebody, you have to teach somebody something, so I'll set up classroom setting, get a bunch of people together. We'll talk about meaningful conversations or feedback. And you're like, that sounds kind of boring, but you can make it as fun as you want. So it's like, I get to create this thing and I get to think holistically, like, how is this going to help you be better in your role? And it's kind of like the same concept as making a song. Like, how's this going to impact you well? And then how can I make it enjoyable? Because, you'll come back if you enjoy it. So how do I make this content meaningful to you, but also make it fun to where you actually enjoy coming to the sessions? So it's, yes, I'd say like, yes, after going through all three of those, yeah, they all connect very well. I think it's just, yeah, at the end of the day, the inspiration that drives me is just, I like to help people and connect with people. And I like to do it in a creative way where I can kind of have freedom to, bring things into existence.
I definitely noticed the creative thing, right? I mean, even this, right? This is a very creative endeavor in and of itself, and you've been very consistent with it too. So it definitely feels like the doing part of like the creative stuff is like very much your specialty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you, as you said, you self-taught yourself a lot of these different instruments and everything, and now you're dipping into this world as well, and it's all just like a bunch of creative endeavors. So
Mhm.
it's very cool to see, I guess, as you just like kind of just full throttle throw yourself into something. It's yeah, it's like a lot of
Oh,
passion, you know.
it is. Yeah, I like to pursue that stuff. Like and I don't know if it works well and I harness it well. I don't know if it's a good trade or not, but I obsess about things like that. Like it's like when I enjoy something, it's like I don't like dip my toe and it's like, oh, I like it. I'm going all out.
Yeah, yeah,
And that, like I said, there's probably pros and cons to that way of thinking, but I don't know. I try to harness it as a strength, I guess.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay. Hey, Max, you ready for your second question?
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay, so this one is about AI because we had such a great chat about AI on our last podcast.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what excites you and what concerns do you have about the future where AI plays a bigger role in how we create, decide, or even connect?
Oh god. I have a lot to say about this topic.
I figured you would. I figured.
Um, obviously normally I'm one to embrace. I'm I'm very much one to embrace AI because I can think of all of the very positive things that
Mhm,
it could bring to the world and to people.
mhm,
Um, but as every like there's like these inflection points throughout history, and they all come back to like the kind of this fundamental thing. I mean, I feel like even I love watching creative stuff, right? I love
mhm,
movies, I love music, I
mhm,
love all the things. I love thinking about it. I love thinking about like how it applies to the world or all of these types of things. So I'm kind of on maybe a little bit other end of the spectrum of your stuff because it's harder for me to get to like how you approach things of like just going all in type of thing. So like I've been trying to do the guitar stuff and it's been I haven't been as all in as you get into stuff and it's just things are slower for me. But I very much appreciate all of those types of things. So I guess let me get a little bit more focused with where I want to get. Um the movie like Oppenheimer has references a lot where it's kind of like what hell hath I wrought type of thing. Like, this conversation of like if I don't do it, someone else will. But also
mhm,
if anyone does it, you're gonna start entering into a space of like with everything that has a lot of positives, there's also a lot of negatives throughout history.
mhm,
The internet, industrial revolution, everything has like increased like has positives and negatives. And this is going to be very much the same thing. And it's generally very hard because the space is going to move very fast and we may not be ahead we not be on par with moving as quick as it is, and so a lot of this stuff can go unguarded or it's going to be heavily at um the discretion of the people who kind of control the levers type of thing. um from a creative space, I'll try and be very narrow with this. Um, I actually think I'm going to reference back to your first question because I think the answer to how I feel about a lot of it is pretty much in the answer to your first question. And that's the act and endeavor of going on a creative exploration is
mhm,
the human experience of it. And that is the part that I think should be fostered. The part where I think AI plays a role in this is giving people who don't have some of the ability more ability to be in that space if they so choose to be so.
mhm,
Not everyone is going to be musically talented in the same way. Not everyone is going to be able to play things in the same way.
mhm,
Um, and I think having something that can help people, it's like even going back to the Zion thing, it can make some things more approachable to people and getting more people involved in different areas in different aspects of life. I generally think is a good thing. So
mhm,
if people who didn't have that much of an interest in music get involved in it, or if they use it to help support their learning or their growth within some of those spaces, I think it's a very good thing. Now, on the flip side, and the real world implication of this is that it's going to be used for almost the exact opposite. And that's basically going to be to monetize and push out a lot of the endeavors that a lot of these people will have. Um, as a very side note in this, and a very important and very poignant point, if people haven't experienced it, is that like probably the largest media streamer in the world, if not at least the United States, Spotify. Spotify has a large portion of their artist catalog is now not a large portion, but a portion of it is AI created music, and they're
Uh-huh.
generating stream counts off of it, and therefore, and ergo, in some capacity, generating revenue for whoever is tied to this AI artist, right? And a lot of this stuff, um, as Ricky, I'm sure you probably know this too with music, is that popular music and things that is appealing to a large range of people is not very technically hard. It's very formulaic, and it's
Uh-huh.
very much within a very, very limited range of what music can be.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of these AI created ones are very appealing to wide audiences because of how basically generic almost they sound. That's the appeal of a lot of these things, is that they're so non-abrasive to everyone that it's kind of okay for everyone type of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's a very hard thing, because I think AI can increase people's exploration into these creative arts, and I think that's a good thing. But I think that the very real world is that people are going to monetize this type of thing, which will oftentimes push out a lot of those other artists, when in fact they should have a stake in the table of all of this. And we should be using it and trying to guide its usage towards enabling more people and more smaller type content creators, um, to be able to have audiences and be able to support themselves in creative endeavors like this. So that's I tried to condense it as much as I could, but I could go more into that. But that's kind of how I feel about it, specifically with um, creative endeavors. So I think there's a lot of value in wrestling with it yourself. And as you said, of like expressing yourself, expressing your emotions, that happens by going through this, by writing the song, by playing the sound, by whatever you may think. I think that there is something very true to that a lot of people should experience. And if AI can help them, then it's a good thing. So, but so that's I have very conflicting thoughts in it. And as a side note, this I want to say I do not have a spot. I canceled my Spotify account when this happened. Okay, I found they suggested an AI created song on my playlist, and I was like the next month I canceled it. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So
So do you think AI having AI music, do you think that detracts from actual people that play like musicians?
no, I think it actually accentuates it, right? I think it accentuates it because I don't know. In my mind, you can tell. Um, I guess some of I guess some of the beauty of music is its rawness, and it's like
Uh,
the emotion behind it, and a lot of, and maybe over time this changes, right? Because I mean, a lot of these things are only going to get better over time. But like you listen to an AI song, it's very clean. It's very heavy productionalized. You can very much tell like how crisp it is and how like
uh,
structured it is. Whereas like a lot of music operates in like this rawness, or this like, you make a little mistake, or there's a little bit of off keyness, or a little bit of rasp, or whatever you want to call it. And like,
uh,
I think that's what makes a lot of like human created music much more um unique, and it hits a much, much different tone because it resonates a lot differently um with people. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, AI is interesting because it's really just a tool at the end of the day. It's not good or bad, but there's going to be lots of pros and cons because it depends on who's using the tool,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That
Yeah,
is like the best way of looking at it. It
yeah,
is a tool, and so like you can use a hammer to create a house, or you can use it to beat someone's head in. It's like
yeah.
same tool, both positive and negative things with it. Like I can very much see a world though where what if you have your own personal AI that can be your personal tutor and your personal assistant to help you be better at things, to help you be more self sufficient, because we've ingrained so much knowledge into our society that you can largely function with no knowledge.
Uh,
So, like, you don't have to know things, because at any given time, you can pick up a phone and ask it the question, and it will answer it
uh,
for you. AI is almost an evolution of that, where it'll probably even give you a more in-depth answer, or you can actually talk with it back and forth of trying to problem solve an answer if you choose to. So the sooner you can kind of grasp it as more of like an assistant or like a personal learner, a personal whatever, and use it as that, but understand what it's trying to do, the more productive you're going to be work wise, just like as a human being. When you talk about things you want to do, things you want to get around to, whatever you want to do, it will like increase your enablement or your ability to do a lot of things by like magnitudes that like yeah, like it's by multiple magnitudes, I guess. And it's going to increasingly become obvious, or the striation among people who are using it in similar fashions like that and not is going to become increasingly apparent over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny because I use AI a lot actually for work stuff. And it's not like I'm doing it to replace the work I'm doing. I'm using it, yeah, like an assistant. Like, like here, can proofread this for me real quick. Or, hey, what do you think about this real quick? Can you tie this together for me? Pumps it out. And then I can discern the information. So I think the tricky part with AI is it's like we've opened up this new technology
Pandora's box.
that we're trusting that everybody knows how to utilize. And I don't think many people do. It's the difference between being able to have something pop up, an answer on ChatGPT, and then question it or take an objective approach to it versus someone who just like they take it as like, oh, fact, and they move on and they go do their thing. And before you know it, you're like, okay, well, there's there's a little bit of a difference there, between it. So I don't know. AI is such an interesting tool. So I think it definitely has its pros for sure. But I don't know. I don't know what the cons are, because the thing is like all the harmful things AI does or can do, we're going to need AI to combat that. So it's like I always like using the analogy. It's kind of like guns to a certain extent. Like a gun's not a bad thing, but in the wrong hands, it is. But the best defense against someone with a gun is someone else with a gun.
No, it's a bigger gun, right?
A bigger gun, yeah, exactly, right. It's kind of like that with AI. It's like, so even the harmful things that come to AI, like most of the stuff, you're going to need it to combat it. Essentially,
it's like like I said, it's the nuke. It's Oppenheimer. If we do not make the nuke, Germany makes the nuke, and then what do and so it's like I said, but you are like, by doing so, you are you're opening the box of like. There's a reason why we haven't had a world war since the last one, right? It's because nuclear power is now a thing at world scale, to the point of like, if we wanted to create nuclear winter type events, you could, right? Like you could effectively end a big portion of the world if certain players chose to do so. You know what I'm saying? So AI is going to be a very similar type of thing in a slightly different type of way.
Yeah.
It's
Hey, so what's your second question for me?
Yes. It's actually, I mean, it's very funny because this was almost like leading, because I have basically, what's a subject or a topic that you feel very strongly about, and how do you like view yourself within its space, or among people who like it as well, or within however you want to kind of take that,
Topic I feel very strong about. It's funny because we were just talking about AI. That's the thing that's on my mind right now, but I don't know if that would have been had we not talked about AI. So give me just a second. Let me ponder this real quick.
If we didn't prime you for it.
If we didn't, because now it's like AI, but it's like, but maybe that wouldn't have been the answer. Let's see. Okay, something I feel strongly about. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole. I want to say it's just forms of technology in general. And I don't mean that as, because I think technology is great. I'm thinking about it from a lens of how it's creating us to be more secluded and more isolated from each other. Because I think the connection piece, and maybe AI has this reverse effect. I don't know. Like I've thought about this too, as like, what if AI just handles all responsibilities, so then people can actually go out and connect more, and we don't have to be caught up with all the minutia of the stuff that we do. I don't know. That's a very interesting way to look at it, but it's like, but with that stuff like social media, news and stuff, even though I built this podcast, is we tend to put on these fronts of like how we want people to view us in society, or how we want to be perceived, but we only see a small portion. And we think that that's awesome because it's like, oh, people see how good I am or what I'm accomplishing, but then people don't actually get to know the real you. So it's like, where do we create those spaces where we kind of put down technology, we communicate, we connect, we actually are authentic with each other, where we realize that we're all going through similar stuff? Because, I mean, that's part of the human condition is we all are struggling with something and things come up and, and, but the difference is like, back in the day when maybe it was more apparent or we communicated more, we realized that we weren't the only people going through things. Whereas now, because of that, I think we can feel very isolated because, we don't generally ask those questions these days to people. So yes, I'd say the topic is just the topic of just, I think, human connection and the role certain platforms and technology has kept us from doing. So because I think that'll solve a lot of problems. And I think that's what everybody secretly wants, whether they know it or not. I think subconsciously, I think we have a need for connecting with each other and connecting with people. I mean, there's scientific and biological reasons for that. Like, there's co-regulation, there's different things where just when you come in contact with someone, your body functions differently, right? It's like we're supposed to be together. But a lot of stuff's keeping us separate. And there's lots of variables. It's not just tech. There's lots of reasons for it. But yeah, I'd say that's the topic. So I guess my part in this is just, I guess, doing what I'm doing with the podcast, just trying to create a space for people to open up and share, themselves. With me also share, my stuff with people too, and just show the world that even on these platforms where connection can be stifled, that we can create a platform or a space for people to actually talk and realize that hopefully someone listening to this realize maybe they're going through something and they realize, oh, they were just talking about this. Like, I feel much better about that now because I realize like they went through it and they made it through it. And that's pretty cool. Just kind of creating those moments. So yeah, I guess that's my answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff in there, right? I mean, the like lack of what's commonly called like third spaces has been a thing, has been trending downward for a long time, right? Like
Uh-huh.
the amount of places where we have to just meet and gather and see people and things like that in easy, conducive manners, especially to meet others like that,
Uh-huh.
has always been going down. And then technology has been more, you get more and more technology. So it's like, is it like chicken and egg type of thing, right? Like what
Uh-huh.
is was technology just kind of like helping along the stuff that we already saw we were seeing a decline in? And yeah, I think there's a lot of very interesting things in there. So a
Yeah.
lot of it, I think, just real quick, like
Mhm.
it's hard, right? I think, like I said, you can be very secluded now. And I think
Uh-huh.
you can make life can be very convenient if you so
Uh-huh.
choose it to be so. And it takes like effort to like, you know, choose to interact with people, choose to go out
Uh-huh.
and all these types of things. And
Yeah.
a lot I think people are choosing that less now. And it's like, yeah. So
Yeah, I think it's one of those cases of a want versus a need. Like we need interaction, but we want to have everything be easy for us. Like I want to be at home and be able to order food and then bring it to me so I don't have to go to a restaurant. It's like we want
yeah,
these, but it's not actually what we need, but it's
yeah.
what we want. So we create things based on what we want and to make things convenient.
But we're kind
But
of
I,
lazy. So we gravitate towards convenience.
exactly, yeah. But actually, what we need is we need to connect with people. We actually need to do something a little difficult every day. Like we
Yes,
actually
yeah,
need to.
yeah.
So
Sometimes
yeah,
you just got to wrestle with some things, you know.
Mhm.
So I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to have
Yeah,
that.
I agree. Okay.
So
My third question for you. So this is about space because I remember when we were at Zion, we were looking at the stars and just I don't remember what we were saying. We were talking about all types of wild stuff. So this question is, if you had the chance to see Earth from space, what do you think would shift in your perspective, and what would you hope doesn't?
I don't know if anything would shift. I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would. But it's very hard to imagine because like it's very hard to imagine because I've already imagined it. Like
Uh-huh.
I can like, I can feel what it's like, but I'm already like very aware of the fact of how small and insignificant we are,
Uh-huh.
and just like how the scale of the world that exists outside of just Earth, you know? universes, galaxies, and everything in between. Like, yeah, I guess I feel very aware of that. And so like I think I would be mystified by the sights and by the experience. But I think like the surrealness of just like of it all would, yeah. Maybe I kind of already realized just how surreal our existence is in this world, I guess.
Yeah.
So
So you wouldn't be surprised
I don't
by
know if
anything going up there.
surprise. I would be. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously awestruck, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an
Just
experience.
because
Only
the
so many,
experience.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
only so many people have done it, right? Like
Hmm.
you are like by the nature of it, but it's like the smallness of it all and like what it actually is like representing. I guess I kind of already jostled with. Uh,
Hmm.
I feel like everyone has in some capacity, right? If you've had
Yeah.
questions about your existence,
Oh yeah, I have too. Yeah, it's a whenever you're having a rough day, it's fun to zoom out and think like in the grand scheme of things and the galactic scale of everything, what I'm going through really doesn't make a big
yeah,
difference.
yeah. It's it's like very nihilistic, right? Like nothing matters and like everything,
uh,
yeah, everything's kind of pointless because
mm,
like we like the timeline of history, like we're like the the smallest of type,
uh,
and even within the timeline of Earth, we're even still a small. It's like we are such a small speck on the grand reality of things. Uh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep. I could see that. I could see that. I think if that happened to me, I think I'd be pretty awestruck. But I think what I would have the worst part with is I think coming back to Earth, like actually coming back and then actually wrestling with that feeling because I've thought about it and I understand what we play, but then thinking like I felt like this after Zion, for instance. Like I went straight from Zion back to work because that's for some reason that's all the PTO I had. So I didn't have like this extra time to like get home, relaxed, let it sink in. So I went straight from like Zion to my desk the next morning. And I remember just being there and it was like the worst day ever. Because just thinking like, dude, I just had this experience. I just was lost in this freedom, perfect view. I started to wrestle with the idea of like, man, what if I just lived out here and now I'm at a desk and this work and everything it feels so meaningless right now,
yeah,
And
yeah,
it took a couple of days, but I mean, it took a couple of days and it came back. But I'm just thinking like, I'm sure that would be the feeling I'd get, but maybe just on, like times 10.
for sure. It
It's
definitely would.
wild.
It definitely the like you feel bad for the next day type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no way that day is going to live up to the day before when you get back or
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So what's your third question for me?
Yeah. So I want you to be very introspective here.
Okay.
What are the personality traits, whatever you want to get into, that you value highly within yourself? And what do you see as like your biggest flaws or the areas that you need most to improve on?
We'll start with blind spots first, or the parts I need to improve because I've been trying to work on that quite a bit. Um, for the longest time, I had no sense of emotional intelligence. I didn't really understand emotions. I didn't understand what the purpose was. Just knew I felt good all the time, or at least I lied and said that I felt good all the time because I didn't know. I didn't even know what they felt like. And it wasn't until my divorce where like I went to therapy and I remember them saying like, "So what are you feeling right now?" And I'm like, "I don't know, and I don't even know what you want me to say." And they're like, "Well, what emotions do you know?" And I was like, "I know happy, sad, mad." And they're like, "Yeah, keep going." I was like, "There's more?" They're like, "Yeah, there's a lot more." And I was like, "Oh, that's all I know." So they gave me the whole emotional wheel chart and we're like, "Hey, go home and just look at this for a second and just pay attention to how it feels when it comes up, any of that stuff." And that was interesting work. That was really it was fascinating because I actually really enjoyed it because what it taught me is because a lot of people think because I get into this all the time with people is like they're like they think emotions are bad, right? Or they think like being emotional, like that's not manly. That's not whatever. You're not supposed to do that. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, get this right. You're going to have emotions regardless, but if you are aware of them and understand them, then you can choose to do something about it. And it's like that doesn't process, right? Because at some point, everyone's gonna they're gonna burst. But if you can catch it early, where you're like, I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable, or like I'm feeling frustrated, then you know what to do when you feel frustrated. That's much better than when you wait, a week and then you blow up at somebody and then you're like, whoa, what just happened to that guy? What happened? So So I'd say the emotional intelligence part was the big factor. And then also trying to contribute to, um, I think contributing to society, I think is another one that I think is something that I've been working on big time too. So like that's the podcast is a good example. Like this, I feel like this podcast is going against my set personality traits. I'll put it that way. Because I'm pretty like self achieving. Like it's very much like, and I don't want to say it is selfish, but it probably kind of is like I focus on what I want to do. I want to get stuff done, and like I just have this thing like this. And I don't necessarily think about how that may affect other people, or I don't think about how to we'll say I don't think about it on a grand scale, I guess, on how I impact others, or I didn't. Um, so that's why like things like this and trying to work on that over the last, I don't know, 5, 6 years, I think has done a lot of good because, I don't know. So I guess that's a big one. And then keeping my ego in check, I think is always a fun one too. Um, because even when you think your ego, you don't have an ego, you probably have an ego if you say you don't have an ego. you know, so I mean, some of that too is like just trying to be okay with those things. So I guess that's some of the I guess the spots that I'm working on. Um,
It's funny you say ego.
uh-huh,
So I've always thought this of you. So I'm gonna
uh-huh.
be not
Yeah, yeah.
I don't consider it ego.
Okay.
Um, but but it is it's like a fine line type of thing because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I actually view it as and what I've always
Uh-huh.
seen from like me interacting with you, you have an inherent competitiveness.
Uh-huh.
You always have this like drive to do it just slightly better
yeah.
than either yourself and or like someone else type of
Everybody
thing.
else. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like if you see someone do something, your immediate thought is like, I should do that
yeah.
too. I should definitely do that too. Like that's
Dude,
like that's your immediate thought right after type of thing. And I think,
dude.
like I said, it you have like this little drive in the back of your head where I could see it happen like every time
Ah, ah.
like when we hung out sometimes. So I don't know if it's ego or like I said, it's just kind of like you have this inherent competitiveness to you.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up. That's so accurate. That's not even funny. Like that's that's totally that's been my whole life. And I notice it. It's funny because I notice it, but sometimes I still do it anyways. Like I'll notice like am I like trying to send this message to outdo the person that just sent a message? Or am I really just trying to learn this to be better than that other person? Or I'm really just doing this and it's so interesting. But yeah, you're totally right. Like that's the thing. I would assume it's probably not the best trait, but at the same time, like I don't know. It's definitely that is interesting. I'm glad you brought that up
I don't
because
think
that's
I don't think it's
yeah,
good or bad. I think
yeah, yeah,
it's just part of it's who you are, but
yeah,
it's like it's part of understanding yourself.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that. Um, let's see. So, uh, positive traits.
Yeah.
Let's see. Um, I'd say I'm pretty thoughtful about things. Creative, we already dropped that. So I like creating things, but I always try to take people into the equation when it comes to like I don't like hurting people's feelings in the process of doing something. That doesn't mean I don't, but it means that I do my best at thinking about how my actions are going to affect someone else, I guess. Um, I am consistent, persistent, resilient. I think those are all pretty strong words um, that I feel like define a lot of things. Um, and I like to show up well for people. And that could just even be the performer in me. I don't know. I hope it's not just a performance, but I actually had someone say that today. Is they're like, thank you for being a good friend because you reached out and you asked about this, and it just feels like I should do that. It didn't feel like I don't know. I didn't feel like I don't know. I guess I feel like that everybody should do that. I don't know why someone wouldn't do that. Why wouldn't you reach out? Like if someone said they're struggling with something and checking in on them seems like the right thing to do, I guess. Um, I don't know. Say that. I'd say humor. I like to have fun. Like to have fun. Like to laugh a little bit. I don't know if my humor is for everybody, but I like it.
That's all that matters. You have to deal with you more than anyone else. So
Exactly. So I think I'm hilarious, and I don't know. I don't know if it lands on everybody. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if that's where you're wanting to go with these questions, but it's like with this question, anyways. But I mean, I'd say that sums up quite a bit. You know,
yeah,
I try to do a lot of introspective work a lot. And it gets to the point where you almost do so much where you kind of forget. And I feel like that's where I'm at on a lot of stuff too. So like I love that you brought that up about the competitiveness though. That was sweet. Because that's something like I almost forgot about till you brought it up. I was like, dude, you're so right. Yes.
yeah,
Dude, now that I think about it, that's if we want to get really specific on why I learned guitar, that is why I learned guitar.
yeah,
I only learned guitar because I had a guy that played guitar and I wanted to be better than him.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like you're like maybe 15% fueled by spite, you know? Like just like a tasteful amount of like I'm gonna do this better type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, well, good question. Good question. Okay, so my last question for you is about relationships. So, because I know relationship stuff is it's kind of shifted for you um, in the last what year, 2 years, something like that. So I'm thinking like, so how has your definition of partnership or commitment changed, and what feels most important to protect or nurture going forward?
Uh I think I mean the number one thing always is the same in a relationship, and that's like an ability to learn and grow together and work on things. Um Even if you're completely dysfunctional, if you have that, you can kind of make, well, not completely dysfunctional, but you can make a lot of things work with just that. Um,
Yeah.
if you always have a mindset of being open to change and open to being different than what you are, um, and the other person is the same way, then you can make just about anything work. Um, and I genuinely believe that because basically you're just making the commitment at that point that over the course of time, you'll mold each other into what you both want and or need out of each other. And because both
Uh-huh.
of you are willing to adapt and change, you're both okay with getting there. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I guess that's always the number one thing for me and the thing that probably needs to grow. But I do also think that it's especially lately. So I mean, I guess I've been with my current girlfriend for about 2 years now, um,
Uh-huh.
which has been very good. But I guess the other thing that I feel like has to be on top of that is that you can't just have that because, um, yeah, I guess you can't just have that. um, but I think that that is the main one. I think it's the biggest thing. Uh, because I think it's one of the hardest thing because it's kind of I think the back end of it is the age old communication thing, but I think the most common way communication manifests itself in a relationship is that back and forth and that communicate and that talk with each other to
Uh-huh.
work towards where you want to go.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's like if you're openly communicating where you need your partner to be or or where they need you to be, and you're both willing to change and work on stuff, then you can kind of make anything work, right? Because if
Uh-huh.
behavior changes happen or whatever, you say, "Hey, we need to realign" or whatever it may be, and you get there. But obviously, sometimes that's therein lies the issue, right? Is that someone says, "I don't even see there's an issue in the first place," and then you can't see eye to eye type of thing. So,
Uh-huh.
but I think that's the number one thing in any relationship is that. Uh, and then I think, yeah, yeah. and then you want all the functional stuff, the funness or something else on top of it.
Yeah. So has that changed for you recently, or has that always been your take on relationships and commitment?
Always, I'd say just about always been my take.
Mhm.
I've been, it's like it gets refined, like every
Mhm.
relationship you're in kind of gets slightly more refined. Like you have a slightly more refined thing of what you need or what that thing is that has to be
Mhm.
present. Um, and it becomes slightly more refined, maybe slightly more narrow. And maybe that's why as we age, it becomes harder and harder, right? It's because like what exactly that is very narrow. It's like I need exactly this type of thing or whatever it may be. I don't know. Um, but generally been pretty consistently on that path, just gotten more detailed throughout the years as I've experienced more relationships, and to the introspective point, like thought within myself how I messed up relationships and things like that, like
Mhm.
things that I could have done better, because the downfall of a lot of relationships is normally a two-sided situation. Um, and so I think how I could have gotten us out of that situation if I would have done something on my end.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's important because I don't think many people do that. And then they get in relationships and they go through the same stuff because it's always like, it's their fault. Everyone I've dated is a narcissist. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
there's probably something you're doing too. But yeah, you're right. And there's always a factor. And I've always thought that it may not be 50-50 when a relationship ended. It could have been 90-10, but still there's always some part of the relationship that was your responsibility that you could have improved on to make it better. So, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think so. What I always think about it is it's feedback loops.
Uh-huh.
And this is why communication is like the key. Like, so this is why everyone says communication is the key, but it's because of feedback loops. So like one person makes some type of micro change or some change to their personality or how they're treating you or whatever it may be. It's very small, but you notice it and you're like, that bothers me. But then you internalize it, or maybe you would like keep it in for very long. And so then it slightly affects your, like how you treat them in some capacity. And so then
Uh-huh.
you create, and then they notice it. And so they're like, oh, but it's not that big of a deal or whatever. They internalize it. And then we create these negative feedback
Uh-huh.
loops of constantly like encouraging our negative behaviors of each other to the point that
Uh-huh.
we blow up at each other. So it's important to notice like when these things are happening and to be the one to try and back yourself out, because you can very easily reverse it. You can turn it around, I guess. And it's like
Uh-huh.
it requires both people. So it requires you to start doing a little something better. It requires them to start doing a little bit something better. Sometimes they have to do
Uh-huh.
more of a little something better, and sometimes you do, right? But it's all about
Uh-huh.
that feedback loop, I feel. And then you spiral negative. Everything gets slightly negative, more internalized, more internalized. You guys end up hating each other, and both of you want. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, thought way
No,
too much about that.
you're totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what's your last question for me?
Yes. I took this in a slightly fun direction for the last one because I
Good.
wanted to. So I want to hear some predictions either about your life or about the world as a whole. And I want to break it down into three types of things. So,
Okay.
so let's say, 30 years in the future or 100 years in the future or at the end of your life. You can use kind of whatever far range you want. Give
Okay.
me something that you're 90% sure will happen, that you're 50% sure will happen, and then 10% sure. So something that you're very confident about, something you're like, I could see it go either way, and something that is like a hot take that you're like, I don't know, but I'm sending it to left field type of thing. That's what I'm looking for.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to say 90%. 90% sure is that I'm going to be in a long-term relationship. Maybe married, whatever. Either way, have that partner that I'm going to be able to go through something. I'm 90% sure. 90% sure that's going to happen. Um 50%. 50% sure. Do I have to do 90, 50, and 10?
No, no, no. It just
Oh,
yeah, it doesn't have to be those exact
okay.
percents. It's the concept of this is something that
Okay,
you're
okay.
you're not sure in the future, but you could see it going either way, anything like that. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be
Gotcha.
exactly 50, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, that's tough. So I'd say 50%, or not 50. Sorry, I'm going back to 50%.
Yeah.
Something that's good. I mean, I guess that would be somewhere like it could. I'd say maybe the success of this podcast, maybe it being actually like monetized and making money at it. I'd say I'm probably midway sure. I think with enough consistency, I think it could, but I also think it's very possible or probable that it also maybe won't. And it might just be, and I guess that's a matter of success. I'd say it's still to be success because I was able to have conversations, connect with people, do something, and stick to it. But I'd say, I guess the monetization thing, like actually making money at it, I'd say would be the part that I'm not 100% sure on. There's a lot of wiggle room. I think there's also a lot of things that are out of my control on that. So I think even if I invest 100 and do all this stuff, there's no guarantee that you know I'm actually gonna to be able to do this for a living and make money or whatever. And then let's see, a low probability.
Or a spicy take, like a wild take about what the future may have for you or for the world.
Mirror the world. Let me think about something for the world because I said me for two things. Let's see, the world. Um, which I think goes back to what we were talking about with the. What were we talking about? It was one of your questions, and I was saying I tend to think about me and the people that are close to me, and I don't necessarily think about world issues very often, um, unless it's I don't know, unless it's something I think could impact the world negative. I don't know. Yeah, either way, I'd have to ponder that more.
Okay.
So something that would affect the world. Let's see. Um. Okay, I am going to say my low percentage of predicting. I don't think we're going to have as many issues when it comes to climate. Right? Because I think the thing right now is like we talk about uh global warming or climate change or whatever we're dubbing the term now. I don't think it's playing as big of a factor. I don't think it will as much as we think. So I think even by the end of my life, I think people are just gonna be saying the same thing. I don't think anything in my lifetime is gonna happen tremendously that has something to do with climate change.
Okay.
Okay. That was a good one. That was tough. I had to think about
Yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was a funner one.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Okay. Well, so what I like to do on these, Max, to close out is I like to have the guest, leave the audience with something. So something just that they can take back, whether it's a piece of advice, a quote, something inspirational, or even just something fun, whatever you want to do. We'll close out that way.
Well, since we talked about it a little bit during this episode, I guess I'll just mention I was like, I'm going to encourage everyone to start to not I mean, don't focus too much on the wording, but like start to have a relationship with AI in terms of like start talking to it and understanding what it's doing and thinking about how it's approaching things and how you can talk to it and things like that. Because I think it can do a lot and you can get a lot out of it. Even if you only use it for like personal stuff, your own personal stuff, you can have so much personal productivity and so much personal gains from proper usage of it. Um, so I guess I would just leave that as a piece of advice if you haven't, or if you haven't used them, or if you've kind of taken it at face value, to just engage with them in a healthy way. So
Okay. I like that. Well, Max, thanks for hopping on. I always like doing these because I think this is fun because then you also get to create questions too for this one, which I think makes
yes,
it fun.
yes, it is. I agree. I actually had a good time trying to come up with questions and then like
Mhm.
thinking about like because we've hung out and everything. So I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
be a little bit more tailored to our experience
Mhm.
together type of thing. So,
Yeah, I agree.
and I appreciate you
Well,
having me on too. This is fun every time we do it.
oh yeah, for sure. Now we just got to talk David and Greg into coming on again.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You just got to convince them.
Yeah, it was just crickets when I was asking who wants to hop on. It's been like that for for months.
Yeah, yeah. It's a tough thing, right? It's like
It is.
people as they get older, your life just gets busier with stuff.
Mhm.
And it's very, very hard to fit everything in. As yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Okay. Well, Max, thank you so much for hopping on, and I'll catch you later. Okay.
yep.